Hey, what's going on, ladies and gents, and Glorious Gun, and we're back with Gungrave on Kickass difficulty. This level is, for the most part, isn't too hard. I do die in it, though, and this is a relatively longer video, so it should give me some time not only to talk about Gungrave, but a few of the gameplay systems in which it has implemented, and just a few tips and tricks and whatever the fuck have you. In the meantime, I apologize for me sounding nasally. It's cold as fuck in my room currently. I could cut diamonds with my nipples right now. I'm just fucking piercing through my shirt. And the heat's broken, so I'm waiting for that shit to kick back in. Which hopefully it should relatively soon. Otherwise, you know, I'll get fucking frostbite or some shit. You know, whatever. It's cool. Regardless, we're jumping into this though. Quick thing I wanted to share with you guys. So you'll see me doing it right here, and I'm going to proceed to do this throughout the entire guide. You can quick toggle the lock-on. The lock-on is extremely versatile and useful. It is a necessity for almost all of the bosses, with the exception of a few attacks. And with smaller mobs, if you just fucking spam the left toggle along with your, if you toggle it while you're shooting, it's a great way to crowd control instead of having to stand there in the stationary position and take damage. To get the fire rate up. But that's just a small thing. I'm sure you would have figured that out if you were playing regardless. But the other subject in which I wanted to touch upon was Grave's sarcophagus. Now, if you guys aren't familiar, and hopefully you've seen it prior, especially since the first level, there is a blue meter at the upper left part of the corner of the map of the game. What the fuck am I talking about? Sorry, I've been playing like Witcher and fucking a few other games, and I got maps and shit on the brain. But in the upper left hand corner of the HUD, there's a blue meter, and when that blue meter fills up, you get a charge, and that charge allows you to do one of 4 special attacks. During these special attacks you have iframe, so it's extremely useful not only for evading boss attacks, but if you're in a dire situation where you're about to get your pants pulled down and straight up fucked, just pop a special attack and you should be okay. They also do massive damage, and they can clear out a majority of rooms. I use them a lot for some of the endgame bosses towards the end of like level 1 through, I want to say up until like the next one. I mean, they still have their use, but these earlier levels you're kind of just killing fodder, and then whatever the boss is just more or less a reskin of that. But it's still good stuff, and with each level progression, when you unlock like Raging Inferno, whatever the fuck these skills are called, the later ones are extremely useful. But that aside, one thing I want to talk about with the sarcophagus is that whenever you die in this game, as sort of a failsafe and a handicap, and to help the player progress along with maybe a difficult section they had to face, the game will give you a free charge, and it will give you a free special attack, and normally that's totally fine. I wouldn't necessarily call it cheating. I mean, it's a system that the game has implemented. There's no way to turn it off. But with that said, I'm not entirely too big of a fan of that. I don't want to have to rely on these abilities, and for the most part, I'm not going to. And if I do use one, I usually try to build up my meter prior before I jump in and use that. But there's going to be some situations in the latter part of the game where you'll notice, if you're looking for my death counter, with some of these later videos, you'll notice the charge count go up, and you can use that to gauge how many times I got fucking shit on by either, you know, just the shitty camera or whatever have you. But yeah, I mean, it's nothing that is going to ruin the gaming experience for you. And if you are just trying to get through Kickass difficulty as fast as you possibly can, just for credibility, go ahead and use those charges. They're great, and they will make this game 1,000 times easier. But for the sake of the guide, I'm going to try to show some restraint on that. But, you know, there might be a situation or two where that's not the case. But I digress. We're just going to jump down this window into the next section. And I just wanted to state, as much of, what's the word I'm looking here for? I'm not trying to say that I'm talking shit about the game, but as much flack as I do give it, I want to acknowledge that the game is fun. You know, I touched on this prior. But if you're just looking to kill 4 hours, or if you're a fan of Gungrave, I would definitely check this out. It actually runs really well in emulation as well. And I have not checked out Overdrive yet. I'm really curious to see the improvements that were potentially made in between this game and that. I know they added 2 more characters and a few other things, but it's really interesting to see evolutions of game designs with franchises that we're not entirely too familiar with. I mean, like, we have our CODs and our Halos and Assassin's Creeds, and it seems like the ingenuity and the groundbreaking aspects of each of those titles are kind of few and far between in terms of what they do to enhance the gameplay experience. So it's nice to go back to some older games and see their evolution, for the most part, as we progress through whatever sequels or spiritual successors or what have you. But that's just a little thing. I'm really excited to get to some of the other videos in this guide, though, because I think the boss fights, while some of them are either way too easy or broken or fucking infuriating, aka the Bungie fight in the chapel, they're fun. They're kind of Souls-esque in a sense, but it's don't take that too seriously. But they do provide some challenge, and they're cool. And it's after watching the anime and kind of hopping into the game and seeing the story beats that made their way over, it's really cool to see these characters and get to face off with them, with actually fighting them. Like fighting Lee or like Bear Walking and all these other characters. It's super dope. I'm a tad curious though, because I thought I downloaded the English file for this, and technically I did, because I mean all the text and everything has been translated, but none of the voice actors have, or at least I don't know if it was a glitch I had with the emulation for a minute, because some of the voices are in English, some weren't. Maybe I'm just losing my fucking mind. But I was expecting to hear like Steve Bloom or Tony Oliver or Kirk Thornton or some of these other characters, but these were all people that were attached to the project afterwards. And the voice actors in Gungrave are really cool, because a lot of them I'm quite familiar with, and you get to see a lot of pairings of voice actors that maybe you're familiar with. A really simple one is of the Syndicate group that Harry controls that we'll be facing off against. There's a character named Lee, and Lee's voiced by Steve Bloom, and Steve Bloom is the voice of Spike Spiegel. And you have someone that is voiced that voices Bear Walken, and that would be, and I'm gonna fucking butcher his name, Bayou Billingsley. Oh, dude, I fucking murdered that. But he's the voice actor for Jet, and they have done numerous projects together, and it was cool to kind of see them cooperate again, because you kind of get that bebop feel. But I mean, Lex Lane did a really good performance as Bungie, and Michelle Ruff and like all these other people kind of make their cameo appearances, and you get that early 90s, early 2000s dub cast that kind of has remained prevalent throughout the years. And now it's all like fucking Chris Sabat and Patrick Seitz and all these other people that are kind of making their way through a majority of these animated titles that are coming out lately. But I have no issue with that, because they're good voice actors, and you gotta love that shit. And it's always nice to hear someone that isn't fucking Nolan North and Troy Baker. But with that said, I like Troy. He's a good voice actor, playing through infamous Second Son at the moment, and I'm actually enjoying the character of Deslin, but I have my gripes with that game, but I can share that for another video. We're just gonna hit the switch here. You're gonna fuck shit up, and yeah, we're just going to use one of our special abilities, clear out this boss in like one hit, and that's pretty much going to be it, guys. And I'll be sure to catch you guys for the next one. And we'll be talking about more Gungrave, so look forward to it. Till then, I'll catch you guys later.